Welcome to Cruise News, your daily update on everything happening at sea. Visit cruisenews.io to see today's stories and sign up for email alerts.
Looking at today's top stories, we're covering a guilty plea in a 2003 cruise ship assault case, the accelerated completion of Carnival Celebration Key Pier expansion, and the inaugural Mediterranean sailing of Royal Caribbean's newest Icon-class ship.
Right, so we'll start with that first story, looking at cruise safety and maritime jurisdiction. In Houston federal court on June 22nd, Elias Luis Herrera, who is a 47-year-old Honduran national and a former Royal Caribbean crew member, pleaded guilty to sexually assaulting a 15-year-old passenger.
And this incident occurred over 2 decades ago. It was on July 17, 2003, aboard the Rhapsody of the Seas during a sailing from Galveston.
Right.
Based on the facts from the plea agreement, the assault took place in a Deck 9 galley area sometime between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. Herrera and a co-defendant, Edgerton Philip Medford, held the minor down. The victim's blood alcohol concentration was later measured at 0.15%.
The timeline of the immediate aftermath is quite detailed. The FBI boarded the ship when it returned to Galveston and collected DNA, which did implicate both men, but neither was immediately arrested.
No, they weren't.
Herrera actually left the ship in Cozumel on July 30th, 2003, and Medford later returned to St. Vincent.
Yes, and tracing Herrera's path from there is, well, it's extensive.
Mm-hmm.
He was arrested in Costa Rica in 2014 for trafficking over 737 kilograms of cocaine.
Over 700 kilograms.
Right, 737 kilograms. He served a 12-year sentence there. And finally, he was extradited to Texas in October 2025.
So he's facing sentencing now.
Exactly. He now faces up to 20 years in federal prison and a $250,000 fine. Sentencing is scheduled for September 18th before U.S. District Judge Sim Lake.
I'd like to ask for a clarification on the legal side of this. How do federal authorities maintain jurisdiction over a decades-old crime that was committed in international waters on a foreign-flagged ship?
The legal framework is very specific here. Federal maritime jurisdiction applies when U.S. citizens are victims or perpetrators. And looking at the Cruise Vessel Security and Safety Act, or CVSSA, there are strict requirements. This includes the mandate to report specified serious crimes to the FBI within 4 hours.
Within 4 hours, right?
Yes. The necessity of that legislation was highlighted during a 2013 congressional hearing, which found that minors account for approximately 1/3 of sexual assault victims on cruise ships.
From the regulatory and legal frameworks governing maritime operations, we turn to the physical infrastructure required to manage the industry's expanding passenger volumes. Carnival Corporation has just completed its pier extension at Celebration Key on Grand Bahama, and they finished ahead of schedule.
They did. This addition of 2 berths allows the destination to dock 4 ships simultaneously.
Which brings the capacity up significantly.
It raises the same-day capacity to over 13,000 guests. And the volume projections are massive. They're expecting 200 additional ship calls and 700,000 additional guests annually.
And looking at the long-term numbers,
the destination expects to reach 2.5 million guests by July 19th, 2026, and then 3.5 million in its second year. Yeah, currently 20 Carnival ships from 10 U.S. home ports call there, and now Princess Cruises and AIDA are joining.
I have the specific ship deployments here, which are very detailed. The Star Princess is scheduled for November 1st, 2026. Then the AIDA Diva on November 9th, 2026.
And there are several others from Princess, correct?
Right. There's the Caribbean Princess, Enchanted Princess, Regal Princess, Sky Princess, and the Sun Princess. Plus, we'll see the inaugural visit of the AIDA Luna in November 2027.
It's a massive influx.
It is. Carnival CEO Josh Weinstein stated that this helps them meet, quote, extraordinary demand. And Princess CCO Jim Barra highlighted this as part of an expanded Caribbean season. But I want to note some pushback. This shift toward routine 3 and 4 ship days has sparked passenger concerns on social platforms regarding crowding at pools and beaches. How is the cruise line managing this localized density?
Well, Weinstein explained a strategy of mixing and matching ships of different sizes to manage guest counts, so they aren't just docking 4 of their largest ships at once.
That makes sense.
They're also making unexplained itinerary adjustments to manage flow. Specifically, they're shifting 50 Carnival elation calls, which happened between June 2026 and April 2028, to earlier in the day.
Do you have an example of those shifts?
Yes. The July 30th, 2026 and November 5th, 2026 sailings are moving from a 2.30 to 8:30 p.m. slot up to a noon to 6 p.m. window.
Okay, so staggering the arrivals. We should also cover the economic impact of this $600 million, 65-hectare development.
It's significant for the region. The Bahamas Minister of Tourism, Glenys Hannah Martin, and the Minister for Grand Bahama, Ginger Moxie, both spoke about the benefits. A tourism economic study projects 2,500 direct jobs.
And the revenue figures?
They're projecting $3.2 billion in government revenue and a $9.7 billion impact on GDP over 20 years.
And Weinstein also mentioned that future landside expansion is still under discussion for the latter half of the decade.
The exact type of high-capacity mega ships driving those $600 million port expansions are continuing to enter the global fleet, as seen with the Royal Caribbean's newest vessel.
All right, the Legend of the Seas. This is a 248,663 GT Icon-class ship. It departed Málaga on June 29th for a 4-night inaugural Mediterranean sailing to Civitavecchia, which is Rome.
And accommodating a ship that size requires major logistics. The Málaga Port Authority had to adapt the mobile boarding bridges at the Levante cruise facilities just to fit the ship's dimensions.
That's a serious infrastructure commitment.
Exactly. Chairman Carlos Rubio noted that the investment was necessary for the ship's expected return, and Esperanza Gonzalez stated that this shows cruise line confidence in the Costa del Sol.
To give you an idea of the scale, the specifications are staggering. The ship is 364.84 meters long and 66 meters wide.
And it
has 20 decks and 2,805 cabins. The capacity is 5,610 guests at double occupancy, with a 7,600 maximum. All of that is managed by 2,350 crew members.
On board, they have 8 neighborhoods and 28 dining options. This includes the Hollywoodland Supper Club, the Royal Railway, and the Aquadome Market.
And the entertainment features are just as extensive.
Yes. They have productions of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the Absolute Zero Ice venue, plus outdoor features like the Category 6 Water Park, the Flow Rider, the Crown's Edge, and Central Park, which features 30,500 real plants.
Looking at the long-term pipeline for these LNG-powered Icon-class ships, considering Royal Caribbean's 2035 net zero target, what does that schedule look like?
Well, Legend of the Seas was delivered by Meyer Turku on June 10th after 2 years of construction. The pipeline includes Hero of the Seas in 2027.
And there are more after that.
Yes, additional deliveries are slated for 2028, 2029, and 2030. They have an agreement securing capacity through 2036.
So, as for where Legend of the Seas is heading next, the deployment schedule starts with these Western Mediterranean summer voyages.
Right.
Then it will reposition to South Florida in October. From there, it's doing 6- and 8-night Caribbean sailings from Fort Lauderdale, which will feature calls at Perfect Day Coco Cay.
And regarding the cost of those sailings, Sales Director Sergio Arevalo described pricing as highly variable.
Which makes sense given the demand.
As megaships grow in scale and require bespoke port adaptations in Europe, one must consider whether historical European ports will continue to adapt their infrastructure, or if the industry will be forced to rely entirely on proprietary purpose-built destinations like Celebration Key in the future.
Thanks for listening to Cruise News. Visit cruisenews.io to catch up on the latest updates and sign up for free email alerts.